So welcome back guys, today I'll be covering Zorga, the secondary deck of Solskjaer, and features the Grapple-like playstyle, which is basically using the drop zone as a resource, and as an extra hand essentially, as able to recycle cards from there, as well as feature the new mechanic, Alchemagic, where is able to combine the effects of other cards in your hand and your drop zone, by binding the card in the drop zone. So Zorga playstyle is to overwhelm the opponent with quick attacks, as well as just big numbers. Zorga as one of the decks with the strongest board advantage in the game currently, in my opinion, actually has a very linear playstyle, but in order to get through it, you must be very smart with it, as it has a lot of small things, so you need to manage the orders in your drop zone, in your hand, to make sure you do not overextend or even overmill. So with that, let's begin by going through the other cards in the right deck. So the right deck includes Rancor Chain over here. So what it does is, on Vanguard Circle, so +1, you draw 2 cards, then you discard an order card, or you discard 2 cards basically. So this is a very strong way to scry your deck, filter your deck, as essentially it's like, if you go second, you basically +3 hand, and you discard 1 order card you have. So with this in mind, normally you want to keep 1 order card in your hand, to then discard, as to make full use of the draw 2 skill. So this means when you mulligan, generally we see a order card, do keep it, as it allows you to get the most card advantage for it. Then there's also things about it, like when using the right deck early game, do not drop the order cards, as you want to make a condition for this. So this actually leads us to the next card, which is the dragon over here. So this card skill is simple. So it's when you place it on Mega Circle, choose a normal order from your draw zone and put it to hand. So essentially what you discard for this, you can take back with this. Then on the Mega Circle, it gets 5k when you play an order card this turn. It's a simple skill, you get 2k. Yeah. So essentially this is what builds up your kind of early game turn 1 to 2 plays rather. So generally some routes you can go about is use Rancor Chain to just draw 2, discard an order card, let's say. Next time you write this, then you take it back. But another thing you can do is you have 2 order cards, is use Rancor Chain to draw 2, discard 1. Then next turn, use your right deck, discard the one you don't want. Then right into this, take the order card you want to activate and put it in your hand. So this is the way the deck sets up Alchemagic immediately on turn 3. So you just do in mind, generally these cards are very simple, just beat sticks rather. And this is often a card you might revive once a 15k decker if you do play a many copies in your deck. There is Zorga's effect here. Com +1. Okay, let's go to the second effect first. Com +1, once per turn, revive any card from your drop zone. So this is just a way to build up more board, just in case. And then the first effect is actually the Alchemagic effect. So whenever you play a normal order this turn, you can bind on a normal order with a different card name, then the card you are casting, and combine them in Alchemagic. So how Alchemagic works, which is kind of important to get through this early on, is you must always resolve the order you play from your hand first, then in your drop zone. So let's say you only have like this, right? But you can't pay the soul last 2 costs for this. You can't actually pay the whole effect of Alchemagic. So do keep that in mind. Then other key cards we will go through is, of course, this card, which is Hendrius, if I remember correctly. So this is the card, when on place, you may mill the top 3 cards of your deck. So this helps settle your draw zone to get more targets you want. The second effect is rather unique, where it retires itself to then remove the cost of Soul Blast from Alchemagic for the turn. So this actually helps your deck actually have a kind of good soul management, pseudo soul management, is able to bypass some of the skills with this card. Ultimately, this is a 4-off 101, as it's a way to consistently set up your plays. Now then, let's go through some of the key cards I was about to talk about, which in my opinion, is really important. So some of the important cards to talk about is this card over here. So this card is a skill, when it comes +1 to +1, when you place it from hand, you can revive any grade 2 or less unit and give 5k. You might be wondering why we need more revive, right? Well, it's not really for that, but because Zorga is a 3 attack deck, you want to play quite aggro, so this card helps you to like play out turn one turn 2 very early, so you can like draw one, discard that, then next turn roll this, then call this out. You can actually revive and get chain and continue the swap for triple front row, or just combat on to buff on. Yeah. And next turn, if you order cards, you can just keep this up until the opponent just dies your aggro place. Yeah. Then of course, Perfect Guards, Save Splintery, and Adamantist over here. So you can actually play the other great one, which is Gloom Tower, which is the 10k booster. But I find Adamantist more useful. So Adamantist skill is when you place it on Regard Circle, choose another Regard and get it 5k power. So this helps you hit magic numbers. Let's say early game, you call it out to rush. You have this on the side, call this out. It's plus 5k, so it's immediately 15k. If you call it out here, it's like 23k. Generally, it's very strong aggro card. And it's a card you can revive with your Grand Blue abilities to quickly recycle skill multiple times a game. Now that we've gone through the basic things, let's go through the order cards, which are arguably more important for the deck. Well, let's take a look at the order cards we have. So the first one that I want to highlight is Spiritual Body Condensation with Soul Blast 1. You can play from hand to revive any card of the same grade or less in your Vanguard and get 5k. So this is another way to quickly build up your feel and just helps you maintain your powerful attackers for return. Also, the extra 5k is important to note, as it forms magic numbers with generally any card. Yeah, so nothing much to say about that by itself, but generally it's quite a strong staple for social in general. But this is mostly seen as a trigger to activate other effects, as I'll get into. So the other important ones are of course Grief, Despair, Rejection, which is a skill, Combat 1. If your Vanguard is Zorga, you give 3 of your units 10,000 power. So this is essentially what you use to buff your board to make your columns rather strong. So this is two brush staples for order cards. And the last one, which many people overlook, is this card over here, which is Cursed Souls Schooling in Agony. Yeah, sorry, his name is really long. So, so last two, you play it. Then loot on 4 cards of your deck. You choose up to 1, call it. Then, if you use it with Alchemagic, you actually choose 2 instead, and they get 5k. The rest of the cards go draw on. So this, along with Hendrina over here, yeah, these are is your main ways to set up the draw zone. So essentially, when you play the game, you generally want to see one of this to make sure your plays going forward are rather smooth. So these 3 are essentially the key Pokemon to your deck, and generally early in the game you want to use this or this to generally build up feel. Then afterwards you want to combine some combinations of this and Grief, Despair, Rejection to then quickly build up power. So with Alchemagic, you actually need to keep track of your order cards, as the card you buy will not be able to use, but the card you used last turn will then be used as a fuel for the next Alchemagic. So in terms of like turn succession, let's say you set up, let's say you place a Spiritual Body early game, then you play this on turn 3, right? So you buy this out. The next turn you play Grief, Despair, Rejection. This card will then be the target for it. Of course, this can be managed with more milling, which is why these cards exist. And sometimes why you want to go for more greedier plays. So, like, let's say you're missing some attackers, you're missing some order cards, like why not go for it? And I think this deck generally people often overlook is actually how important keeping count of your deck ratio is. So this is a term I use for a lot of decks actually, and something I wouldn't believe. So generally throughout the game, always check or have a mental note of like how many triggers to units there are in the deck. So whatever you mill can actually be used later, but it also keeps in mind like how likely are you to check like 3 triggers in this game. So let's say your deck's like fully randomized and you just seen a couple of triggers in your early game. Maybe you go for the extra 3 mil to try and get to your stack. Not kind of stack, but trying to increase the probability of checking triggers or just drawing 2 cards you need. The cool thing about this is if you do mill order cards or units, they're not essentially dead, as you can just revive them with Zorga and of course other cards. Then there's one more grade 2 order, normal order, but I don't recommend playing it for now. Rather, I'll talk about Ghost Chase, which is not a normal order. is a Blitz order. So let me get that for you. So Ghost Chase is this card over here. So it's a Blitz order grade 2. So what its skill is, when you play it as a defensive card, you're going out against 5k, and you choose one unit that's not being attacked and put it in your hand. So with this, you can actually bounce cards you revive back to your hand to reduce effects such as Hendrina, Aromantis, or even you can revive Perfect Guards or over triggers that you might have milled and bounce into your hand for defensive play. So you can actually play the Blitz order, bounce Perfect Guard back and Perfect Guard. Like let's say you reach that situation. So against matchups with no field control, this is something kind of important. And it's one of the deck's few defensive options if you do play it. Another option is also to revive Zorga to bounce it back for personal right next turn. So these are ways the deck maintains its general flow, as this deck relies on heavy curve from turn 1 to turn 4 to play optimally, which is why I feel the deck is still lacking something on set 1. Although under a good pilot, it can be rather decent. Yeah. So now I'll go through a few kind of plays which you should go for. I'll see you then. So before I go, let's talk about some ratio things. So out of the way, 3 Zorga personal right, because you need that. 4 Hendrinas, 4 Perfect Guards. So I think these are rather staple cards which you can't really get out not playing. Then all the cards, let's talk about how many you should play. So most players are playing between 9 to 11. You some playing 3, 3 and 3 of this for evenly balanced lineup. Or some people are even taking in 2 Ghost Chests like my friend over here and cutting maybe like one of this to play that. So how you play it, you must really experiment and play test. Currently I personally like 3, 3, 2, 2, which is my friends don't playing 3, 3, 2 and take in 2 Ghost Chests. As you remember, the normal orders do not have shield value, so having a hand of them is still pretty much playing all good 3s after all. Then for the other cards we want to talk about, for the moment not much to test. I'm playing Aromantis. It's very good for aggro and fixing your columns with bad mills. Yeah, like you see some mill triggers, you can see from 18k line to Hearts Dragon, which is a 15k decker, and of course this card over here, which is actually, yeah, unfortunately this is Spurring Maiden LDNR. So this is the card I see you play for early game rush. So let's say your early game was going fine, you can actually just use it to rush, and if you open this you can Alchemagic, so you actually won't run out of full depth quickly. Otherwise, it's a way to build board and maintain power without using Zorga's effect. So yeah, let's say you're stuck with the revive, it can be helpful in the pinch. And that's about it really. Also, another card to highlight is Hydraulic Ram Dragon, yeah, which is an 18k attacker, which you don't see in this deck, which is the Aqua Force looking good, which when you bind, when all the cards in the bind zone, it gets 5k, so it becomes an 18k attacker in itself, but it is a grade 3. So with the amount of other cards you play, playing it might actually be detrimental, as your deck is essentially playing like 10, 13, 15 grade 3, which is like crazy for a 3 attack, which is considered rather slow sometimes. So with that, do mess around, find out ratios, let me know what works for you. And let's move on to a quick demo and kind of a guide, yeah. Why not, let's go through some test hands with Zorga and how we should try to navigate the early game, which is really important for the deck. So let's try. Okay, draw this. Draw 5, this is not rigged by the way, in case you're wondering. So, okay, let's say we keep order card, even though this is Ghost Chase over here. Person right is pretty nice, so maybe we'll keep that. Perfect Guard, me too. Then we'll throw the other 2 back. Since you have the order card, all we're missing is a card to help us start milling. So draw. Okay, we didn't draw the milling card, but we have this card over here to help us rush. So we know this game we have to play rather aggro. So let's start first. Yeah. So stand and draw. Too many of this. So okay, let's drop this card over here. Ranker Chain. Then Solvas 2. Draw 2 cards. Then discard 1. Okay, since we did draw the normal orders, let's drop this. As remember, our grade 2 can only take normal orders, so these orders don't count. So let's drop. Let's drop. Yeah, Great Disparity Reaction. We'll talk about why later. Rather, you already know, but yeah. So let's end off from there. Let's see if we take 1 damage. It's our turn. Stand draw. So what we could do is drop the order card and take it deck to basically get a net plus for Alchemagic. Or we could just drop a unit here and guaranteed kind of 2 Alchemagics here. So let's say in this case, let's drop this card to get into this, then we take this card back. So with this, we essentially didn't lose any cards in our hand, and also set up Alchemagic to have 2 different orders. So here we can actually play a rather slow game. I would play this rush now, but seeing how we don't have the Flower Girl to reduce the soul blast cost, let's not use it for this skill. Or rather, let's just play aggro. Okay, let's play Sounds of Vanilla actually, just to whack. Try and push some attacks in. Zorga, okay. Let me check. Crit power. Yeah, let's go Mantis, let's say. So stand and draw. Okay, so situation like this is like, okay, it's rather bad, right? So let's drop Mantis here. Need to go into our Zorga. So Zorga now has order card here, order card here, and this is why the building cards are really important. As you see, our draw zone here is pretty okay, but after this turn, after the Alchemagic, we do not have a way to Alchemagic next turn, which is a really important thing, and why you keep multiple orders in your hand. As in a long game, use it 2-3 times a turn. Otherwise, you're just playing off your vanilla board. Yeah. So let's say you play this card over here. We Alchemagic, we have the Gate 3. So you're an Alchemagic, so this one goes drop zone. You go to the bind zone. Then activate this skill. So +2. Look at the top 4. Okay, Flower Girl, let's play Flower Girl, let's play a crate, yeah. Just 5/5, then mill the rest. Do activate, give this projection, combo 1. Give everyone here 10,000 power. Okay, we can even extend this by using Zorga's effect to call out Elementis to create a strong column here too. Then let's say we do that, but since we don't have a personal right, we do have good to find a way to split next turn. We should keep it rather safe. Okay, this is a very weird hand with 3 Zorgas. Yeah. Then let's say we go, let's say combo for Elementis, yeah, sure. Attack. Grade 2, okay, grade 3, nice, we are safe, we have an order card for next turn. As remember, this is another reason why we do play a lot of order cards, as let's say next time we didn't check the order card here. Our next turn is essentially pretty vanilla, just a personal right, 3 column attacks. We do get some power, but we do not get the maximum potential. So let's go through the next turn. Let's say we feed like Bastion, they say they crit us or something. We'll take at least 3 damage in one turn, because they're crazy like that. Then let's perfect card here. Too many Zorgas, actual 24 Zorgas. So we intercepted, yep. Stand draw. Persona right. 10,000. So they start hand, okay, let's think. Our aim now is to survive next turn, or just pretty much push them this turn. So now you must think what the aim you want to this turn. So let's say we try to play a middle ground. Let's push while trying to conserve a bit. So with that in mind, we can retire this for the Soulblast, for the remove Soulblast cost heal. So essentially you can meet Soulblast conditions without paying from the soul. So this is actually very useful when you try to Alchemagic with this card over here, which costs Soulblast 2. Say 1 soul, you can actually retire her to make her free. If you combine it with Spiritual Body Concentration, which is the great one, it removes all 3 soul blasts. So yeah, some rollings there. Then now we can actually activate. If you have 3, since you have 3 units already, we actually don't mind activating Give Inspiration here now. Combat 1, give 10,000 to 1, 2, 3. And then Alchemagic with the grade 3 over here. So if soul blast is free, do it off cost of a deck. Okay, this is real shit, but let's call, mill, power. And yeah, let's think about that. Let's say call power here. Now actually use Zorga's effect, combat 1, to either fix our front row here, or we can actually revive Perfect Guards if we play Ghost Chase. So we have a Ghost Chase here. So to make it through the next turn, we can actually call this out here, call it out here. Yep. So next turn we have guaranteed to Perfect Guards survive. So this is one of the defensive plays. This is rather unlucky, but essentially once you start getting into the turns, you will be able to push more and more. So this is a bigger swing. Okay, we have 2 Ghost Chase. It's pretty unlikely, but yeah, this is essentially how Zorga plays. And so the defensive plays spawn on the ring is literally 1-2 Great Interceptors for Dagger Shield, or reviving Perfect Guards or Over Triggers for Ghost Chase Place. So that's how the deck's generally looking like. The mills here aren't really exactly the best, but ideally you want to get at least a few attackers out. And later in the game, you want to stop milling with this card and the Hendrina to use Spiritual Body Concentration to generally just build a board without any like over milling, as this skill has to mill 4 basically. So with that, I hope you got a good idea of how Zorga plays in this format, and just some tips and tricks of how to play it of early set 1 set. Yeah, early week 1 to week 3, yeah, my bad. So that's how Zorga is okay. It's looking pretty okay for what it is, but as the deck does rely on heavy like turn for turn, what people call a curve in the card game. So you need to open like or the card on turn 1, then next turn you must open something to mill, which is the Flower Girl, the Hendrina or the Rift, or this one over here. Yep. So you generally need to open this and any other card to make the deck works perfectly. So sorry, not this. Over here, yeah. So generally you want to open these 3 in the game, early game, to make sure early game constant. So when you're mulliganing for hand, always maintain these 3, and also keep in mind how you use the right deck to this card to make full use of the right deck. Other than that, feel free to experiment with the deck. It's still rather unexplored. Personally, I feel it still needs a bit more to push it to a viable category. But if you like Granblue and willing to go through more testing of it, do give it a try. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll be back whenever.